earlier misses when he came in off the bench might have been one of the reasons he's not in the starting lineup here today. Phil Shane sitting alongside Ray Hudson as we bring you live this following Paraguay's big win over Bolivia. Of course, Bolivia little chance, and 5-1 today. Paraguay clinching a spot with Colombia and Uruguay and Argentina. The most points they can get are 4, and that will not be enough. Carlos Veda, the Ecuadorian referee. Take a look at the starting lineup. Andres Mering getting his first appearance. Magajan, Aguirre, Craneviter, Iturbo, Romero, Vieto, Ruiz, Rodriguez, Ayone, and Fernandez. Those last two making their debuts as well. So Andres Mering gets the call here for Colombia. It still will be their starting keeper, Christian Bonilla. Balanta, Davy Balanta, moving out towards the right back spot. Aguilar, Ibargüen making his start. Correa, Mena, Leudo, Figueroa. Mojica debuts with Cuero and Brian Pereira. And Ray, something we've talked about. We just saw the highlights with Borja and Cordoba. Here are two more outstanding forwards at Restrepo's use.
Well, this Colombian side has just been amazing, Phil, to watch with every game. We saw them very early against Paraguay and were super impressed against Chile, arguably the hottest team of this tournament, and certainly amongst as impressive a team as has been out on the playing fields here in Argentina, this Chilean side that everybody's buzzing about. But his team, there's no question, Restrepo has got a team and a half as well. He's got a wealth of riches to pick from. As you said, Phil, number of changes, and as we always say, good players keeping good players out at any level of any club football. International football is always a wonderful thing, and these are the brightest of bright days for Colombia. The national team is playing inspirational football in the World Cup qualifiers in South America, led by the wonderful Jose Peckerman. And Argentina a little bit on the other side of the scale. The Albiceleste have been horribly disappointing, as have their neighbours Brazil, not living up to their great names, and really hearing it from all of the critics back in their mother countries. But here today, Argentina really got to take care of business and start righting their ship against the team that has been playing as good as anybody, arguably better than anybody, the great Colombian side.
We talk about Peckerman. He's going to be keeping an eye on this even more so. His native land against his adopted one. Phil Shane, Ray Hudson with you. Glad you could join us as we get started. The Albiceleste, and that dark on the shorts looks just a bit darker today. The funny thing is, Ray, everyone came in, not just us, saying, what was this Cinco Fantásticos going to be like? How good was Argentina going to be? Were they going to erase the memories of the last two under-20 championships? They did, just not exactly in the way people thought.
No, not in the positive way, that's for sure.
Near side, Ayone cutting to the inside of Mojica. Again, keeps possession. Pride on the line. Maybe even another chance to resurrect some hope with all of the scouts in attendance. Iturbe sees it taken away. The former Paraguayan senior representative now donning his native Argentine colors. Into the area, play on, and chipped to space. Again, Balanta, who'd started in the center back positions the last two games, launched forward for Brian Pereira, the long, lanky attacker. Good idea, but bad delivery. Aguirre, the Boca right back, missed the first match, has stepped in since and done well. There have been, that's the amazing thing, Ray. We talk about Brazil, who were in very similar straits last night and still in danger of missing out. Ball rolled wide. But there's good players in this Argentine squad. They just don't play together. Rolled to the inside. Up steps Kraneviter, threading it through.
A wonderful little lead ball that. Kraneviter seeing the target and then finding it through a very tiny passing lane. Vieto making a lovely run. It doesn't lead anywhere, but that's starting to be a good sign for Argentina.
Pereira gets his head.
A little wasteful in this area in the first 2 or 3 minutes, and again, Colombia, just wonder how much focus they have here tonight. You would think that they just want to start to feed on their wonderful confidence.
Pereira, special trip to the barber. Let's see if he can find a way to cut this one inside. Played well with Cordoba in the first match, but Puerto seems to have been the favorite since, a little bit more dynamic. And again, the lost man was Borja, who ended up scoring a hat-trick the last time out. No suspension for Cordoba, but he is not dressed today, and you almost wonder again his reaction after scoring 2 but missing 3 or 4 in the final 20 minutes against Bolivia, whether Carlos Restrepo sitting him down and saying, get your priorities straight. Hint of a handball against Leudo, but rolls it wide. Snuck to the inside. Again Pereira, but again flat-footed. Trying to spot the run. Ayone out wide. Marcos Fernandez in a bump. Mena whistled for the foul. The 18-year-old debutant from Chico. Alan Ruiz, much expected of the San Lorenzo playmaker. Not a lot of it's been delivered here. Just outside the 18, looking for the perfect shot, slapped away, and Bonilla, well, kept his hands behind Ayone's shot.
Ayone does beautifully well here. Hesitates and hesitates and hesitates again, waiting for that window of opportunity. Right there, 3 times hesitating, and then he sees his target. Just needed a little bit more on the height, the angle, but not much more. Tremendous strike by young Agustin.
Off to the near side, Andres Correa, teenager out of DIM, Medellin. Leudo.
A confident start here from Argentina.
Driving through, the shot off target. Took a wake of Colombian defenders with them, but Ruiz couldn't put it on frame.
Oh, this is another sparky run, and again, where was this type of football in the early going? Beautiful by Alan Ruiz, going right at the heart of the Colombian defense, and certainly Colombia's goalkeeper Bonilla having serious words with his midfield, allowing these big passing lanes and running lanes. Not a challenge thrown down for the last 3 Argentina attacks, Phil. Colombia, as I said in the early going, just don't look quite as focused. Credit Argentina.
Again in the back, Magallanes. Another one of the Boca contingent here. Rodriguez launching it long, but it will carry out. Andres Mering getting the call here today in place of Walter Benitez, the Quilmes keeper, had been in goal the entire stretch to this point, but now it's the Colón youngster who gets his feet wet. That'll be frustrating. Be frustrating in any circumstance, but the fact Argentina is the host makes it even more so. The bump and the assistant on the far side apparently drawing attention to a foul Carlos Lopez, the Venezuelan. Victor Carrillo, the Peruvian ref. And it will be Colombia ball about 30 yards from the end line. Trying to find Aguilar. Near post run. It's there. Manning gets his body in front. Rebound cleared away. 2 cracks at it for Colombia. Cannot convert.
I think it was Mena that was on the end of that wonderful free kick sent into the heart of Argentina's defense. A beautifully flighted ball. It's attacked and it's just missed with the top of the head by Perea. Should have done way better. Phil, that's a beautiful ball. That's sent with love. And it's right on the target. It hits Perea, and that spiffy haircut's tall enough. You'd think he'd make some sort of contact with him. I mean, really.
The defender, Felipe Aguilar, the one who follows up, and
he's
denied.
The number 20. He's got like a mohawk, and I'm not too sure if he wanted to fluff those hairs on the top of his head, but man, that should have been buried. All it needed was the tiniest of little glances to take it into the back of the net. Beautiful pass.
And this Colombia side, something to prove. They did well against Paraguay, but only put 1 on the board. They aren't the only one to fall against Chile, but I think a lot more was expected of them. And then they explode against Bolivia, the first blowout in this tournament, but you could say, heck, it's Bolivia. Just take a look at the 5-1 thrashing Paraguay dished out. So I think if Colombia really wants to prove themselves, a victory here against the hosts, very important. Reminder, the way this tournament is set up, there are 2 groups of 5. The top 3 teams in those round-robin preliminaries advance to the final stage, just like CONCACAF World Cup qualifying. The 6 teams play another round-robin, with the top 4 teams advancing to the World Championship this year in Turkey. The last one actually had a little bit more on the line. Remember, those top 2 under-20 teams got that little bonus gift of the Olympic invitation, and Argentina fell short there too as Uruguay pipped them along with Brazil. Everyone was saying that that embarrassment of missing out on the Olympics was going to spark a revitalized Argentina. We're still waiting for that one to show up. Back for Ibargüen. Far side, Balanta again. On his inside is Cuero. Leudo, already international at Estudiantes, but the Argentine club might be fortunate to hold on to him. Threaded through, maybe the hint of a grab Aguirre, but Correa not going to get the call. Colombia starting to put a bit more pressure of their own on. Julian Figueroa, the Envigado mid, joining Leudo in the midfield. It's been Perea to this point. Not today, though. There's actually more games, Ray, in the final round than there is in these preliminary groups because of the 6 teams as opposed to 5. So some of these reserves playing for a bit more playing time. Sweet move on the far side.
Nicely.
Mena. Now back to Leudo. Easily dispossessed Cuero. Argentina back to Ruiz.
Good ball.
Whipping it wide. Not sure if it was a dummy, but it slips around Aguilar.
Magic.
Sweet touch to the inside. But then
he tries to catch it with the outside. No, he's trying to catch it with the outside of his foot, in my opinion, Phil, as he cuts in here. He sees his 2 supporters inside of the box. Take a look. Skips by him here. He's still got the awareness, taking on the defender. He does him absolutely beautifully. I still believe he's looking for that square ball with the outside of his foot. And arguable. Maybe you're right. He's got the audacity of hope to think that that one can be steered in past Bonilla.
Well, it is Lucky Lucy.
Still think he's drawn for that square pass. It would have been a lovely goal. He's in again here.
Another opportunity, but a big step up by Ibargüen.
It's been an absolute tower of strength, Ibargüen. Number 27 for Colombia. And the man who's, young man watching, wearing the number 16 shirt for Colombia, as well as another one. It's taken my eye, Felt Mena.
Forcing it through, the return pass is there.
Magic.
A trip up
Penalty.
Bonilla. It's going to be a penalty and likely a red.
Well,
Iturbe
we'll
brought
say
down.
it might be a little harsh, but it should be, by the letter of the law, a red card. Let's see. Now the referee's being kind, and I, in all honesty, applaud him, but it should be a clear red. I mean, he's in and around him. He's got the open goal at beckoning. Beautiful play by Argentina. Take a look at this. It's a rapier little pass to find him right here. He's onside. Beautiful give and go. Touches it past, and well, Bonilla is extremely lucky to be on this pitch.
You know who's really lucky is Carlos Restrepo, because while yellows will not carry over, Ray, that red would, and that would mean that Bonilla would miss the opener in the final phase. That's one reason why I was a bit surprised Bonilla's still out there.
Fabulous by Iturbe, and the wonderful pass to find him was exceptional.
Ruiz for the lead, tucking it high into the net over the diving Bonilla, and Argentina is in front.
Well, the penalty kick is applauded, but the football leading up to the foul that was awarded to Argentina is what we really should be looking. It's a nice penalty kick, but the football was rapier, sharp in their attack, and Bonilla had to take him down. But wonderful football. The last two passes were impressive, Phil, but there was a couple leading up to even that sequence that was very applaudable. The best by a couple of light years that we've seen this Argentina team play. This was the type of performance we were expecting right from the get-go.
Just flipping back, no yellow cards to this point for Bonilla. Although both John Cordoba and Juan Pablo Nieto did get two, their second against Bolivia, and will, of course, sit this one out. Stepping up is Davy Balanta. Another foul whistled by the Peruvian. Again, it's Ruiz. And as you pointed out, Ray, where was this Argentina before?
It's nowhere close to this type of understanding. They look more assured right from the back going forward. The midfield is totally vibrant, and they're knifing through in their attacks. We've seen 3 or 4 attempts at Bonilla's net in between the Colombia sticks, Phil. That he's been very fortunate to see this scoreline so low 15 minutes in.
From long range with the left, maybe a strong pass, the actual attempt, but cleared briefly by Colombia. Ball back for Aguirre, serves it far. Kept in play by Vieto, though. He's got help inside, deflected again. Bonilla just pins it to the line.
Talent.
Through the midfield, Figueroa. Far side, Balanta. A little bit more of a stay at home, maybe not as intended, but it almost sneaks through for Cuero. Good step up by Aguilar. Colombia trying to regroup after that stumble.
They're being pinned in the midfield as well. The only attacks that we've seen prompted by Colombia is through Mena and Mojica on the individual level. Argentina, man, are really clamping down nicely in midfield defensively. They look a completely different animal as well.
Again, new faces in the back, maybe a little chemistry missing. Ibargüen, though, has done well individually.
Absolutely.
Gerson Vergara, the 18-year-old, had been the starter, getting a breather today, though. beInsport.tv, of course, check us out. The schedule up for the weekend, and what a busy weekend it is. Plenty of action. The under-20s continue. More from Italy and Spain, France, and even the World Handball Championships continuing. The Twitter handles, feel free to jump on board and get involved. Again through Correa to Ibargüen, looking long, bouncing out, and Mering doing well at the top of the box. Big 6'3" keeper, third string at Cologne, but promising future. Again settled by Correa. Sneaks it around Ayone. Not much sneaking there by Aguirre. You take a look, Bonilla going the right way, but you get that ball above the middle, more than 4 feet high, and you get it towards the side. Not many keepers in the world will be able to stop it. Bring it back, and a foul against Colombia. Fourth by my count. Leudo missing the second Colombia match. Sat out there getting some fresh batteries, but back out there today, a bit surprising. Maybe only for a half, though. He's vital for Colombia if they have to have a chance to win it. Here another turnover. Gifted to Marcos Fernandez. Over for Ayone, and Ruiz again finding the open man.
Fluency about them, isn't there, here today, Phil? I mean, the understanding from left to right and throughout the ranks of these young men in the blue and white stripes, off of a different level. It's as if it's a completely, utterly different team.
Launched long. There's space on the near side as Cuero switches flanks. Driving in again. Argentina only 3 in the back, at least on paper. Colombia trying to catch them. Overlap from Correa. Cuero forgot something.
Well, he's just slack with his football there. It's one thing doing that in tight situations, and you can get away with it when you've got a supporting player to the left of you. He's just dicing with it, but fortunately for him, pops off the last man for a corner.
Remember, it only needs to barely touch that chalk. Doesn't have to be completely inside anymore. But Carrillo wanted it a little closer. Launched to the back post. Mering swings. If he touched it, it wasn't much. And his defense forced to surrender corner on the other side. And again, Aguilar getting in a dangerous position. Played short for Cuero. He's quickly playing his way out of the starting picture, at least for now. A little lax on the last 2 touches. Anderson Mojica dropping back. Maybe just initial perceptions, but it seems like now that they have a goal, Argentina turning the pressure off just a bit. Pereira couldn't bring it down. Again, this match in many ways means nothing on paper. But the coach is using that. The scouts definitely using it.
Colombia want to boost their confidence, because despite all the impressive scoring of Chile as well, it's Colombia that stands with the best record at the for and against columns, at least. Not quite on the points, but they've scored more and let in less than any of the teams. Looking to really put more wind in the sail. They've had some good performances from some of the substitutes that have come in, some of the reserves, second stringers, whatever you want to call them, but they just haven't had that fluency that we saw in the first couple of games, Phil. And Argentina found a new vein of form altogether. At least in 22 minutes, the indications are good for the Albiceleste.
And you think what might have been if this team had shown up in their opening match against Chile.
Yeah.
Or at least against Paraguay, who they let sneak back in. Romero, 18-year-old out of Vélez, part of their championship. 13 games played for Vélez. Joné was shining on the flank. Played 14 en route to the title. A little pushing and shoving. Romero goes down. And it was Luis Fernando Mena who sent him there. To the near side. Joné missing it up the line. Under Cuero. Romero getting it back for Argentina. Craneviter, Romero, Ruiz, wide for Vieto. Just past Cuero. Now it's Aguirre. Conserve a good ball. Tees it up. Tries to sneak it in, but no one was making the run. Another call against Colombia. Right near midfield. Throw in for Argentina. Estadio Malvinas holds about 45,000. See a few more as this tournament progresses. Although maybe not as many as if Argentina was progressing with it. Aguilar to the center. Figueroa, Cuero. One back by Argentina. Aguirre spins it into the corner. Joné trying to turn the corner. Just trickles across before Ibargüen can bring it in. Corner kick, Argentina. Falling asleep, Colombia. Ruiz taking advantage. Awkward landing by Marcos Fernandez.
Ruiz tries to pick the man out. Lovely ball. Just a little too heavy on it. Ruiz seeing Fernandez arriving. It's a good run. He's telling Ruiz basically on that run, just pick me out, put it up there and I'll win it. Just led him a little too heavy. Again, number 10 of Argentina here in this tournament, Phil. Aaron Ruiz, a lot of pressure on him. Of course, there's no Leandro Paredes. And number 10, it's worn by the Boca Juniors youngster. And that's a shock that he's not being given the call from Trabbiani. He's receiving a lot of abuse in Argentina for that non-selection.
He's receiving a lot of abuse for a lot of things nowadays. Perea with the spin, but the whistle and the flag. A little too quick on the hip turn. Just undercutting him a bit. Maguillan better be careful. Sometimes that's not called. Ray, Group B tomorrow. Some vital games. Brazil, Peru, Uruguay, Venezuela. And there's a good chance that both winners will move on. Definitely in the Brazil-Peru. Both teams tied on 4 points, although Peru the slight edge, which means Brazil will have to go for the victory. A tie will not help. Aguilar in the book.
Yeah, and he was warned prior to this as well. So the referee saying, and that is a really rash tackle right across. And you see Aguilar actually leaves both of his feet jumping in.
And now Carrillo will have a chat, and he's saying it's not just the first time.
I'm not so sure that that's what he's saying either. He may have been saying leaving both your feet as well. You cannot do that anymore in the game.
Well, launched into the corner. It will settle for Aguirre, but quick feet. Little slip by Correa, and it'll be a goal kick. And Ray, I said Brazil and Peru, a draw will not help Brazil. Well, it won't help them against Peru, but Ecuador's already done. So if by some chance it ends up as a 3-3, 2-2 draw, something like that, then maybe Ecuador would be the team that would drop. Venezuela would need a couple of goals over Uruguay to surpass them. And there's also the chance that a victory might get them above Brazil, Peru, or Ecuador. So much to be settled in Group B. But as we started this match, everything already assured in Group A. Chile perfect through 4.
Yeah, they certainly
headed down.
Look as if they are the team to beat. Playing some wonderful football themselves, and
did it with probably 9 men against Argentina.
Yeah, probably the way Argentina's been playing, they might have done it with half of that. But not here today. Credit to them. Talk about playing for pride. They're showing it here tonight. But as you said, too little, too late.
You wonder, and the coaches and the scouts will mark it down with the pressure off. They seem to be a little looser, but
yeah,
it's not like you don't have any pressure when you're playing for a paycheck either. Paraguay with the victory over Bolivia. Colombia now tied with them at 6 and looking to stay there if this score holds. And Bolivia, who started rather well. Tough loss against Chile and then the comeback against Argentina, but the last 2 matches blown out 11-1. Half hour in the books, another quarter to go. Guarantio Restrepo is one who's keeping a close eye to see how his Colombia bounces back. A giveaway in the midfield again from Aguilar. Down goes Vieto, no whistle. Little slip by Pereira, but he cannot turn the corner. Fouled in the process, though.
So difficult in this tournament as well, Phil, given that it's over a month long and these coaches of the teams that are really riding on the crest of a wave, trying to blend in as many new players as they can. And it's high temperatures here, as you've made a point of several times, and the coaches knowing with these good quality teams like Colombia, throwing some of the fringe players in and responding really well, although not quite got the understanding against the rejuvenated Argentina side here tonight. But it stands in good stead for Restrepo, knowing that he's got to variety of options going into the more meaningful games over the next couple of weeks.
I'd say he feels a wealth of riches up front, decent in the back. The midfield maybe still trying to figure out one or two last spots. By the way, it is a little cooler today. Temperature at kickoff in the mid-80s. That a large part due to the front that went through. If you watch that Peru game last night against Ecuador, with all of the rain and the wind, with the humidity up a bit, still for Colombia, they should feel right at home. Quickly out wide, Aguirre driving in on Correa. Bonilla in the center of his 6. Correa again, not soft enough on the chip. The 18-year-old from Independiente Medellin. Heard the scream for Mojica to be aware in the center. A little collision by Correa, looking towards that direction. Balanta and Aguilar helped clear and then launched upfield. Dozen minutes left in this opening half. Of course, the final round not giving much chance to catch their breath. Tomorrow, Group B will close up. They'll take the 19th off and right back at it on the 20th, although instead of playing every other day, Ray, now they'll get an extra day's break. So on the 20th things start, the next match on the 23rd, and so on, all the way to the final match on February 3rd to determine who will be the top 4 teams and the representatives for South America. And Ray, by the way, it is somewhat slotted, even if it's not a bracket. We already know some of the games. Chile will be facing Paraguay in the opener, and Colombia set for the nightcap against whoever finishes 3rd in Group B. Of course, that's depending on whether Colombia is able to slide past Paraguay, if they can come back here. Strong run on the far side by Mena. Luis Hernando Mena to the middle, but an easy grab by Mary. 6'3" keeper out of Frank, Argentina.
Good player, little Mena, number 16. As I pointed out earlier, that's a push. One of the few players that's playing consistently for Colombia and regularly. He's been left in there here tonight, and again, you can see a little bit of a difference in the players that Coach Restrepo has been relying on. And that's more real insult to the other boys, because they're still playing up the scratch, containing a brighter Argentina team. But difficult, Phil, when you see these games like this, with so many new youngsters in, to predict, you know, what's going to happen in the next round. These coaches, it's intriguing type of proposition they've got. They're like the mad scientists, just mixing it in with different types of players, looking to find the right quotient of the right mixtures. And he's had a good look over these 3 games, Restrepo, and he's got to like what he sees going in further into this tournament.
Maybe just a little more maturity here or there.
Yeah, and it's hard to get that look of maturity when you're such a changed up team. It's all going to be down to the coach to really identify which of his players are going to complement each other once the next round robin starts.
By the way, mentioned there's still the question as to who will be the 2nd team from Group A or the 3rd team. At the moment, even with this score line, Colombia would be 2nd, 8 goals for, 3 against for a +5. But remember, Paraguay's big win over Bolivia now has them at 9-6, so a +3. So a few more goals for Argentina, and Paraguay might slide in. It doesn't sound like much, but again, there are advantages. Still, everyone plays everyone else. It is that full round robin. Pereira. Can they keep it going? Launched up and over. No real problem for the Argentine keeper. Even Mojica.
Doing some fine performances. You just look at the way Venezuela played against Brazil just yesterday, and Vino Tinto showed up pretty brightly and did their country proud.
Arguably the better team.
Yep. Yeah. It is arguable, and they showed up very brightly. Had some really sweet little players.
In many ways still in control of their own destiny. A victory over Uruguay would likely lift them up over someone, be it Ecuador, Peru, Brazil, and if it's big enough, even Uruguay, who will start tomorrow at the top spot.
Should be a good game. The Venezuelans against Uruguay.
Peru's going to have to play a lot better than they did against Ecuador last night, though, if they want to beat Brazil.
Good ball, just a little shallow.
Bringing it back, Mojica, but the Cali man tripped up. Free kick for Colombia right in the center of the park. They've been playing every other day, normally in that trying heat, but give credit. Maybe the effort slowing things down just a touch, as well as the new faces. Kind of wonder whether the birthday boy might be needed for Colombia, though, because Quintero's been a different class. One of the best in the tournament so far. Chipping it forward, and too far for Pereira. Mojica saying, you got to get there. I think even if he let his hair grow a foot taller, he still couldn't have reached it, though.
He left his run too late. That's what they're saying, the way it was drawn up. He's got to start his run off a lot earlier to get to that rainbow pass.
See the stadium a lot bigger than the one in San Juan. That a relatively new one, the Bicentenario, hosting the second division side San Martin. This one actually plays host to 3 teams, 2 in the A and 1 in the second division.
Nicely.
Nice back heel.
Magic.
Chance inside. Aguirre still spinning to try and keep it alive.
Chance is gone now altogether. Aguirre needed to pull the trigger. Beautiful play from Argentina again. Allion sets it up beautifully, but Aguirre's got to hit this. Beautiful little knifing ball. He drags it into the box, and that beautiful back heel, and right there the ball needed to be squared or flashed at goal, and you only get those chances for a split second. Aguirre, for the second time in that position, Phil, hesitant.
Well, it's something that has actually been a concern throughout this tournament. It seems as though Argentina, rather than being aggressive, trying to take the opportunities that are there, are almost thinking twice, more afraid of making a mistake.
Yeah. And a number of times the Albiceleste have got into great positions. It wasn't as if he had a clear look at goal. He was in a bit of an angle as well, but that's happened a couple of times. But the inventiveness to get them there has been, well, it's been as good as Argentina's produced in this tournament.
Another foul against Colombia, the quick restart.
Nicely again.
Ruiz wide for Ayonet.
Just a little heavy. Oh, unlucky.
And then dispossessed. In the middle is Leudo, and bulls his way out of the China shop. Soft touch again for Correa.
Leudo there using that muscularity and that Colombian skill all rolled into one.
You know, he's got something to prove against these guys a lot, playing for Estudiantes week in, week out on the reserves.
Yeah, it looks as if he could be amongst the men as well, Luado.
Just one match so far, but more will be coming. Here he is again, but dispossessed as the ball pops up. Another chance for Argentina. Iturbe wide. Ibargüen.
That's what you call a hospital ball.
Cuero. Through two.
Clear.
Plays it wide past Perea, giving chase is Mena. Not as clinical as it could have been.
Not as considered as it should have been. Needed to be played right into the path of him and led him into that corner.
Then Cuero. Always looking for his own number, and this time tripped, slipped, and pays the price. Landing right on top of Lucas Romero.
Thought he slipped here before the tackle was in, but maybe not.
In many ways, Romero, the player that is probably a little luckier not to be hurt. Cuero sliding into him. Iturbe. Born in Buenos Aires, his parents from Paraguay. He knew that match meant a lot to him, but couldn't get it done. Already 10 matches played for Porto. He was supposed to be one of those along with Ruiz. Two of the Fantásticos. Probably never wants to hear that phrase again. Approaching the half. Chance for an equalizer. We've seen a few just before the whistle. Cuero, soft, but not soft enough, and Mering lets it slide through. Almost to Balanta.
Still that same setup here. They go for the rainbow pass over the top, but it's just not angled towards the player quite enough. Balanta does his job, leaves his marker. Ball just needed to be a little bit more angled towards him.
Ray, the one thing I think is very obvious is this Colombia team does not click as well without Quintero as it does with.
No, there's a number of good aircraft missing from the Colombians. I don't think they'll be too concerned about it. They've been showing up nicely, and individually, Phil, there's plenty to like in the Cafetero shirt still here today, even though they're down a goal.
Leudo. Behind Figueroa. Mahika again. Launching it in himself. Good one. Snapped wide off the post and kissed wide by Cuero. So close. Mering can count his lucky stars. Almost an equalizer.
Take a look. Beautiful. Ball played in. Over distance. Drops it right onto the head. A wonderful attempt by Perea. He gets his haircut right this time, and it's just the upright that denies Colombia from a beautiful goal. Wonderful ball searched in there, Phil, and a good header.
Seconds into added time. No signal yet as to how much will be added. Flipping it back, Figueroa. Argentina cannot settle.
You talked about the individual skill of these Colombians, and that was advertising it right there.
Just a little too lazy from Balanta. It'll be a throw-in for Colombia. Final seconds ticking away. Balanta takes it forward. Gets it back from Mena. Balanta, not bad for a converted center back, but that's going to do it for the first half. Argentina from the spot as Ruiz takes advantage on the foul of Iturbe.
Lovely bright football to set up Argentina for a deserved penalty. And then they worried Colombia a little bit as the game went on, but certainly Colombia coming back into this game as they start to get adjusted to each other. A lot of fresh faces there for the Colombians. They're starting to adapt and worry Argentina. Close to being tied, but still Albiceleste ahead by a nose.